I think it's pronounced Zaddy.
But they love their eggs.
I would love for the people who are watching this to contribute their fan art.
Weirdly, that is one of my areas of expertise.
Hank Green's out of control.
That's my favorite question this season.
Thank God. End the episode right there.
I'm Hank Green.
And I'm Jason Mantzoukas.
And this is Ask Hank Anything. Hello, I'm Hank Green, and welcome to Ask Hank Anything, the show about questions and the people who ask them. People ask me questions, and I get to find out the answers, and then in the process, I get to learn about them through the questions that they ask and finding out what they're curious about.
Assembling a group of questions, I did feel at the end as I was sending it, it was very revealing of who I am.
Yeah, particularly we asked for like 7 and you sent 14.
Yeah.
That seems very...
Jason, to be clear, I didn't think all 14 would be sent.
Well,
I was like,
okay.
I was like,
you thought somebody was going to edit you?
Somebody would chop it down to the best 7 to 10. But the fact that you got all 14, thrilled.
This is Jason Mantzoukas, writer, comedian, actor, Taskmaster contestant.
Most importantly, Taskmaster
the
contestant.
only one we've ever had on the show.
Really? First of many, I suspect.
All right.
I'm now going to say Stevie Martin will be next in order to complete the JV Mantzoukas team.
Yes.
We have to. Now, contractually,
yeah.
Now that you've had me on the show, Stevie has to be on
We should do a filming in London.
How have you not?
Hannah's like, yes,
I will go. You're absolute fools to not be shooting in London.
Absolutely. Oh my God, my wife would actually come.
You'd have a great time. I could give you great restaurant recommendations. I mean, you could have Alex and Greg on.
Oh.
I mean, if you went to London, you'd have to get a much bigger studio for Greg.
Just so he'd fit on it?
He is in a different climate.
Bigger than you think.
He is so much bigger than you think. He is all the way up there.
We're going to talk about Taskmaster a lot.
Let's get into it.
We're going to, but I organized these questions into an order. I can't tell you what the order is. I've forgotten now, but take from the top.
But I should just take from the top?
Yeah. This is Puzzle. This is Puzzle the Pelican.
Puzzle the Pelican, of course. Yeah. So like I said, I felt like a lot of my questions were revealing about me as a person.
Yeah, this one's about you.
Is it foolish of me to be social media /AI illiterate? Is it a language that I should speak? Is being a modern social media Luddite foolish or smart? Boom. First question out of the gate. It's a banger. I'm gonna be honest. I think about this all the time.
Do you? I feel like you have answered this for you must have an opinion on this.
Here's what it is.
Well, you think that you're...
For a long time, I was very comfortable. I still am very comfortable. I've never been on any social media.
Yeah.
Not consuming it. Yeah. I don't want that noise. But boy, oh boy, does it start to seem lately like that plus AI is a language that is not just relevant in a way that I always found social media to be dismissible.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, whatever, you know. But now it is so relevant that I'm like, oh, am I foolish for not speaking this language? Am I opting out of the future?
Here's what this made me think is like, I don't actually know what Jason Mantzoukas wants. What do you want? Where are you at? Do you feel like, are you trying to get more attention?
No.
Well, then I think...
If anything, I want less attention.
Then it would be very foolish to play because that's what it's about. It's an attentional game.
I get enough attention for doing this.
Yeah.
Or some version of this.
That scratches the itch.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm very lucky. It's not lost on me that I get to talk to an audience of people and I get to hear them laugh or not laugh or whatever. And that is the itch that people are scratching with social media. But the other side of social media is so dark and nasty and it feels so... Yeah. The version of it that I'm getting in a venue or even just this is so lovely.
Yes.
Versus trying to have any version of this inside of the computer seems...
I think all the time about the difference between being in front of an audience. So if you're doing stand-up, you're in front of an audience, you only hear the people who laugh.
Yeah.
And if you're on the internet doing stuff, you only hear the people who are mad.
Yes.
So the exact opposite experience.
With the caveat that I will say there's a lot of people, there's a lot of times we'll be doing a show, I'll do like an improv show at Largo or something. We'll come off stage and like half of the group will be like, did you see that guy sitting in the front row with his arms crossed? He didn't laugh at all.
But not you.
I'm like, everybody, great show. Great, everybody's laughing, great show, everybody.
Stop paying so much attention to that one guy in the front.
One guy who was like,
Yeah.
It was probably someone's date or something like that. Just wasn't into it.
His back hurts.
Who cares?
You know?
His back hurts. L5S1, our spines are cratering, everybody.
You can't laugh. It hurts.
It hurts. This is pain. This is real pain.
What you are right about is that it is such a big part of so many people in the culture's lives. Not everybody, like not a majority, but there's a sort of a large portion of people for whom you kind of can't speak the language if you don't have all of the social media experience, if you're not like on there living your life there. But it's so objectively true that living your life there is much more likely to lead to less happiness.
Boy, it sure seems like it. But I am like ignorant about like, I have no meme literacy. I have none of that.
I have very high meme literacy.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt that for a second. Wait, how old are you?
45.
Okay. I'm 52.
Okay.
So even just that little bit more, I feel like I'm closer.
I think that the age is not as big of a difference as simply not being in it.
Yes, that's true.
Really in it.
Do you ever want to get out? Are you ever like, I got to turn this nightmare off?
Yeah, I mean, I want both a little bit more out and like a little bit more than that out. And like different parts of me want all the way out or like halfway out. Yeah. But I am not in control.
But boys, shouldn't this be the area of our life where we are, like the idea of how much time?
Yeah.
I will say that, screen time, whatever the thing, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
That tells you how much time.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not on social media.
You're doing stuff.
I'm still wasting tremendous amount of time. It's
do you like scroll it or do you?
No, I just am on, I will look on the Apple News app. I
take it back. Waster, I think that the age difference does matter.
No, it's true. My time waster is like the news.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like the paper. It's
Daddy Mantzoukas over here.
Truly.
Yeah.
I think it's pronounced Zaddy.
So you have some meme literacy.
It had to be explained to me at a live show what Zaddy meant.
Yeah. If there's anybody who would have Zaddy explained to them at a live show,
it's me.
Who I've ever heard of. It's you.
We did a podcast the other day for Blank Check, the Blank Check podcast. Great podcast. And I did it with Paul Scheer, who I do How Did This Get Made with. And so the four of us were doing bits around. And then the three of them started referencing that a meme from this movie we were talking about is in common use. I'd never heard of the meme. They showed me the meme. I had to have that meme explained to me. And then when they were trying to explain that meme, they tried to use a different meme to explain the meme I didn't get. But didn't know that meme either.
That was all content though, baby.
Yeah, so I'm cashing those bucks.
So none of this sounds bad.
Oh, none of it sounds bad.
It sounds like you're thriving out here.
Oh yeah, I mean, that was like a 3-hour podcast.
Sounds like you're blazing a trail that I might one day follow.
Listen, this appearance right here, for the rest of the time, explain memes to me. I wish more than anything, all that I had sent was just 10 memes.
Yeah.
Just the memes. What is this?
And
boom.
It would be so embarrassing how much easier that research would be for me.
Oh my God.
Than
I know,
trying to figure out like
sent.
allergies.
Oh
Jesus
boy.
Christ.
Sorry, that's another personal one.
Yeah, we'll get into it. I think that you've made a very wise decision.
Okay.
And I think you're also right to include AI in this because there is so much in the language of AI or the like vibe of a fake video or an AI-generated video, the vibe of AI-generated images. That if you don't spend time with it, it's going to be very hard.
Because AI is inside of what started to, because I don't at all question whether it's smart for me to be on or off social media. I've never wanted to, and I'm comfortable not being. But once AI started to become so dominant culturally and on all all content, all stuff started to have AI problems and slop here and slop there. That's when I was like, oh, should this be something I just have much more of an education,
some literacy around?
Because this seems like it's very real, even if it is real to the detriment of society.
Yeah. Not saying that it's good. It can be both bad and definitely happening.
I can see a world in which people are less obsessed with Instagram or something like that. But based on what it seems like now, I can't see a world in which AI isn't somehow ruining my life for the next 30 years.
And
benefiting me.
What I'll say is that I have no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea what the internet was going to do. I was totally wrong. I thought it was going to bring us together. I thought it was going to be good vibes. I thought we were all going to have an opportunity to listen to each other and learn from each other. And it has not felt that way.
Boy, oh boy. So, it didn't take too long to be like, hey, we all like the same bands. Except you like the wrong ones. You like the wrong albums.
You like the right band in the wrong way. I don't like the way you like it.
That's really what it was. It allowed everybody to find each other first and then drill down into why they don't like each other.
try to say to people, they're like, why do I do these things that make me feel kind of bad? And I'm like, you're not really looking for good emotions. You're looking for emotions. You're not looking for good sensations. Your brain's seeking sensations. It's just looking for something interesting. And like interesting is way, like it is the root thing. And it is not just the stuff you like. We are often interested in the stuff that makes us very mad, very uncomfortable, very scared. Well, scared is like the most interesting. I have to look at something that might hurt me.
It's paramount. Like if I stop paying attention to this scary thing, it might get me. You know?
Especially when like you have experience with mayonnaise being that thing.
Mayonnaise, I'll give you mayonnaise because mayonnaise looks and seems gross. What about a chocolate chip cookie?
No. Jason is apparently famously allergic to eggs.
Very famously.
The most famous food allergy in Hollywood.
One of the biggest food allergies, I would say, in the world. It's international because I'm proud of this. I'm gonna say it right to this camera. I forced Taskmaster to do an entire season of no egg tasks, which, if you watch the show, almost impossible.
They love their eggs.
The two shows, Taskmaster, and I did 2 episodes of the Netflix baking show Nailed It.
Wow.
Where I was a judge. I was a judge.
But they had to feed you.
But they had to make eggless recipes, which completely undid all of the contestants. Everybody struggled. It was
they're putting applesauce and stuff.
It was a mess. Everybody was like, with no eggs, and they hadn't been told ahead of time.
Oh no!
So they found out on the day. It was very funny, I will say, but absolute chaos.
Holy shit! I cannot believe that didn't get communicated.
Not at all.
Great. That's amazing.
I was the one that had to be like, and today, because of my food allergy, you won't be able to use eggs. And you can see, because it's all amateur bakers. And you can see them being like, what the fuck?
What is egg made of? How do I replace it?
I need another binder of some sort.
Should I put beef in there? I don't know.
I've got this jerky.
Okay. We're gonna keep going because you did ask so many questions.
Sorry.
Back glasses back on.
Here we go. Okay, such a good one. I love this.
He likes his own questions.
This one I was proud of.
Okay.
Shouldn't we all be wiping our animals' butts after they shit? Aren't they basically spreading shit all over the house?
Jason, this is it.
This is a huge one for me.
So you watched the episode with me and Vic.
Yes.
And in that episode, I said to Vic, this was my favorite question this season. That's my favorite question this season.
Thank God. I appreciate that. It means a lot to me.
Here's why. Because I never really know until I start doing the research. My first step, I'm like, okay, are our houses covered in dog shit? And like a little bit.
For sure.
Like enough that it causes problems every once in a while. People will get, infection of some kind that is dog poop based, but it's very rare. And there's not that much dog poop. It's gotta be
more than we think.
This is what happened. Human beings have probably the dirtiest butt of any vertebrate. We might have the dirtiest butts.
So I appreciate that you're unwilling to say we do have. You're saying we might.
It's a complicated world. Koalas actually also have really dirty butts.
And chlamydia, I believe.
Koalas,
I'm pretty sure, are rotten with chlamydia.
2 true facts.
They're on the apps.
But that doesn't have to follow. I don't think that chlamydia takes you straight to the apps, but I guess the apps take you to chlamydia. That's okay. Now I understand. I've not been on the apps.
None of us have.
Have we not? So I prepared a list of the reasons.
Great.
As I kept going down.
Let's go. Beat by beat.
The rabbit hole of the reasons we have the dirtiest butts.
Rabbit holes would be just pellets, I think.
They have very clean butts.
The rabbit hole, I believe, is pretty clean.
They got grit.
Because it's just pellets. It's just hard pellets.
Thank you for correcting me.
If I could shoot hard pellets out of my butt, I wouldn't be wiping either.
Exactly.
But I'm seeing what comes out of dog butts, and it's not hard pellets. A lot of times,
sometimes they got a good poop, sometimes they don't.
A lot of times, it's like a soft serve machine that needs servicing.
Number one reason why we have the dirtiest butts is obviously the cleft. There is a lot of cleft. It's deep. The butthole is deep in there. And there's a lot to go through on the way out. So that's number one. And this was a necessary thing as we went upright on 2 legs. We got this big old, these butt muscles, allegedly. And the anus is like way up in there between these 2 clefts. So that's not ideal. So the poop has to pass through.
You're saying our poop, it has too much extra space to get stuck on.
There's sort of the fecal area, the area the poop can touch is bigger. Instead of if it was just like on the center of your hand, it would come out. And
that'd be nothing. It'd just fall right out.
But we just have. Why didn't we do it that way?
Why don't we have? This is the worst marionette show I've ever been to. Just all poops.
But it's rabbit poop, so it's okay.
Just poop, 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 poop. By the way, this would be a huge hit.
Okay.
We just did a marionette show where it's just buttholes that shit.
Yeah.
I made my nieces, I had like, at a certain point when they were all younger, I had like 15 nieces under the age of 12.
Wow.
Like a lot of young kids running around. Every year I would get them all a gift, like a tote bag that said poop on it or something that was like a poop gift. And one year I went to a t-shirt shop that had, you could get the silhouette of an animal on a t-shirt, like printed on a t-shirt. I said, great, I want all these animals, but can you make little poops falling out of all their butts and a big pile of poops at the bottom? And the people at the t-shirt place were like, yeah, we could do that.
It's gonna cost you less money.
Thank you for this opportunity. They made them huge hit. Huge hit. The pooping animals shirts were a gigantic hit.
Yeah. I was just thinking about that movie where the guy's got the eyes on his hands.
Oh yeah.
So like that.
Labyrinth.
So like that. But,
but an anus.
Two
anuses. Yeah. Just like that. I believe Guillermo del Toro would. I think that was the first version. First script. The first version was he puts his and it just shoots poops.
Yeah. They come out fast too. Remember, that was the first thing.
Great.
These are in no particular order. Hair, but not a lot of hair, a little bit of hair. So not enough hair that would keep it away from the skin, but enough hair that would hold some of the poop together.
Right.
Another guest on this show called it peanut butter getting wiped out of a ponytail.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's
I'm not
bad.
interested
Why
in
is that happening?
Yes, I don't want that.
Put hair in the area where the poop goes through.
Yes.
Number 3.
Okay, so quick question. Why did we put that hair there?
Well,
Why did we put that hair there?
weirdly, that is one of my areas of expertise. I have this show called SciShow on YouTube, and for like 7 years, the #1 comment was, why do we have hair around our butt?
Amazing.
And then finally we did the episode, and it took us a really long time. Turns out like it hadn't been well studied. But we think that the strongest hypothesis is that it is there because we were distance runners professionally, like running down animals.
Hunting, yeah.
And so we lost our hair so that we could sweat a lot, and we got these big butt muscles that would push us forward, but those butt muscles would rub together, and that would be a real big problem, the chafing. And so the hair is actually there to help prevent chafing. As long as you keep yourself clean.
Hair stayed because it was helping with the chafing, or we grew hair there?
We grew different hair, specifically in the cleft.
Different hair?
Yeah, like a new, a different quality
hair?
of.
We
invented a new kind of hair. It goes in the butt
like in a
cleft.
video game when you get an upgrade.
Yeah.
Now you've got better butt hair.
Yeah.
For cleaner shits and but dirtier shits.
Dirtier shits.
But less chafing.
Less chafing.
That's the trade.
Yeah, as long as you stay real clean. Because otherwise you get particles
which I can't imagine. We were staying clean back then.
We were staying. We washed. We washed. We were sweaty.
Yeah, that's
Sweat
true.
could get, as long as you sweat a whole lot. I don't know.
I don't know. I think get rid of it. How long will it take us to get rid of all that hair?
Well, I think it's not being selected against because it's not like we're not having it. I did have the time when I didn't have butt hair because I did chemo and my butt hair fell out. And it was amazing. I loved it. It was way better.
Oh, wow. Well, that's like the difference to me between like those toilets that shoot water up your butt when you ever have access to that.
Yeah.
Sometimes in a fancy hotel or something. And then you go back to your house and you're like,
oh no,
I'm wiping my ass with paper. Like I'm physically doing this.
This is bad.
This isn't the right way. Disgusting.
So that's another one that's not even on my list is that in the past, we would have washed with water.
Yeah.
It would be like in the stream washing.
Why do we think that rubbing paper over it, like rubbing it around the hair, why do we think that that's clean?
In what ways is this better?
Right?
It gets rid of some of it.
And I mean, I guess I'm kind of cool now with, although here's the thing. And part of the reason I asked this question is I don't have a dog anymore. My dog has passed away, R.I.P. Turkey the dog. But when I did have Turkey, a lot of times after Turkey would have like an explosive shit, I would wipe Turkey's butt.
Yeah.
And there was stuff there.
Yeah.
Stuff that I wouldn't have wanted on the comforter or the couch.
For sure. We're omnivores, which means that our poop is inconsistent.
Yes.
So rabbits, for example, always eat the same thing. Their digestive systems are very good at that same thing. They always make these pellets. But we're omnivores. We're eating all kinds of stuff. And so our digestive systems are getting thrown off track sometimes.
Sure.
So sometimes we have really hard poops. Sometimes we have really soft poops. Soft poops can be bad for the dirty butt making.
For sure. Oh, yeah. It's all over the place there. It can be a real sloppy mess.
I've heard, but never experienced.
No, okay, I have a quick, if you don't mind me interrupting. Super. I hate to pepper you with more cues. After the chemo, could you feel or tell when your butt hair was growing back?
No. Because it starts to grow back really fine.
Okay.
So it did not come out like if I shaved, it would be like this.
Yes,
this
not like
this big,
it wasn't
strong
like hard
hair.
stubble.
Yeah, no,
it was like fine.
It came out like baby
delicate.
hair.
Oh, baby doll hair.
Yeah.
baby doll hair circling your anus.
Where it was like everybody wanted to touch my head. Nobody wanted to touch my butt crack, as far as I knew.
Really?
No one, I would ask. Maybe if somebody
you weren't
did.
volunteering. You guys wouldn't believe it. I have the finest hair in my ass crack. Everybody's got to check this out. Hank Green's out of control.
Weirdly, I don't remember having grown my pubic hair the first time.
Same.
Or the second time.
Because I think it was just there from the jump.
We don't have tails, and tails can sometimes take up that space between the, like in a horse, you can have a little space for the tail, and then they lift the tail, and then the poop can come out.
Okay.
So we don't have tails, that's not a thing.
So you think probably a horse would be the cleanest pet to have around the house?
For his poop, but like they poop
tremendous
a lot.
volume.
Yeah.
And it's like always full of like hay and stuff.
And I don't think they're not like, hey, let me out. They just go where they go.
They do.
Yeah.
They're not like, they're not, you can't train them to hit the bell.
As a person who spent a lot of time like in places where there's horse poop.
Savage flex, Hank.
Everybody always says that like it's not that big of a deal to walk on horse poop. And I don't know if it is, but like I accepted that as truth and I walk all over the horse poop.
I think those people are trying to normalize poop. Well, here's the reality is we used to walk around on poop all the time. Well, horses and, like if
I walk on deer poop even now.
Sure.
If there's deer poop in the yard, I don't think to avoid that.
Oh, I do.
Oh.
But I don't see deer poop in the yard that much. Maybe I would feel different.
Yeah.
But when I'm on a walk, when I'm on a hike, when I'm on a walk, I'm so rarely am I enjoying the day.
Because you're watching it.
I'm on it. It's as if I step in poop, I'm gonna die.
Oh, really?
It almost feels that urgent.
My son's like this.
Okay.
He will tiptoe around the poops.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll alert everybody. I'll let
Even if it's a deer,
look out, there's a poop coming up.
If there's a dog poop, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are real
Or
sticky.
human poop.
Or both also very sticky.
Yeah.
But deer poop doesn't stick. I'm like, that's nothing.
Yeah, sure.
We're on the same page. Sixth, our current food is extra bad.
Yes.
So our food is just not good, and there's just like we're not getting a lot of fiber, and it can be extra bad.
So our poops are dirtier.
And then this is also a behavioral thing that's a more modern thing. In the US, we sit and we don't squat.
Yes.
So previously, most pooping would be happening in squats, which is gonna pull the cheeks further apart. The poop's gonna touch the cheeks less. So all these things are adding up to us.
I wish you'd stop saying the word cheeks so much.
Look, I'm trying to get to the bottom of your question.
The cheeks of the question.
It really hit me hard when I was like, am I a member of the species on this very big planet with many thousands of vertebrate species, like including the ones in the ocean? None of them have dirty butts.
Yeah.
They're great. They just swim away from the poop.
But what's that thing you pull out of a shrimp that looks like it's full of poop?
Well, that's their digestive system. Or I actually don't know. I don't know what that is. Future Hank is going to tell you what that is. Hello, it is Future Hank, delighted to be here to tell you that is, in fact, a part of the shrimp's digestive system. This is a little confusing because it is called the vein. It is not a vein. It is the shrimp's intestinal tract, which runs along the back just under the shell. So shrimp digestion is a fairly simple operation. The food is processed in an organ called the hepatopancreas, which hepato is liver, pancreas is pancreas. It's an organ that does some stuff that's like a liver and a pancreas at the same time. Then it passes into that narrow intestine and carries material toward the tail, where it is left off, and then it's not a dirty butt because it just washes with all the water that's around it. The visible dark line, that is the intestine, and it is visible because there is stuff in it. Now, what is inside of it is not always feces, but it sometimes is. It can include partially digested food. It can include sediment, because apparently shrimp eat sand and silt sometimes. It gets in there and they swallow it. There's also going to be some microbes, and yes, there's going to be the waste products on their way out. And the color depends on the shrimp's diet, which is why it could look brown or black or greenish or even reddish. Removing it is called deveining, though again, that is a misnomer. It is de-intestining. And you do not have to remove it for safety, but there are actually some good reasons to remove it. So proper cooking is going to kill any of the microbes that are in there. Many cuisines leave it in, especially in smaller shrimp where it's very difficult to take out or impossible, impractical. Also, some cuisines, shrimp are just eaten whole with the head and everything. But there are three main reasons why people remove it. First, ew, gross, that's gross. Second, and probably the most important one, is texture. So if there is silt and sand in there, you're going to be chewing and you're going to hit some sand. And that's not good. So they take that out because it's not good for the texture. And then three, appearance. It just doesn't look very nice. It's like a translucent seafood and it's got this thing in there and you're like, ew. And then you're like, and sometimes it's gritty. And also, I know what that is. It's not a vein. It's the intestine. In big shrimp species, the intestine is noticeable, very easy to pull out. People usually do it. In small shrimp species, it's tiny, it's hard to see, it's hard to notice, it's often left in. And I'm just happy that now I know about the hepatopancreas, which I did not know about when I woke up this morning. Also, this video is brought to you by Ground News. Ground News is a website that pulls coverage of the same story from outlets across the political spectrum all over the world. And they show you the differences in headline language, political leaning, and accuracy. That transparency provided by Ground News is very valuable because it helps you, the news consumer, get a clearer picture of the story. Jason and I were discussing AI earlier in this episode. It's pretty common knowledge that AI is constantly evolving and changing, and so it becomes that much more important that we're able to get clear information and have an understanding of the different ways it's being reported on. If you've ever tried to seek out all of this information yourself, you know it can be a little overwhelming. Ground News makes it simple. For example, this story about Meta halting teens' access to AI characters with 99 sources. Ground News allows us to see very quickly that 61% of these sources are categorized as center. We can see each of the sources listed and what their leaning is, which allows us to compare any potential differences in the language and information provided. Give it a try for yourself at ground.news/complexly. If you sign up with this link, you'll get 40% off the Vantage plan. Make sure you use our link in the description or the QR code to sign up so you can see the full picture and can think freely for yourself.
Boy, though, I'd love to shit in water. And then it just goes away.
You never done that?
No, I don't think I've ever.
No, me either.
I've for sure never shit in water. Have I? No, I don't think so. But should we? Should you and I, future Hank and Jason, are gonna shit in the water, and we'll be right here to tell you about it. Cut that in now. Yeah. We'll do that later.
I'm a little bit upset. If you in the comments think that there's an animal that has a dirtier butt than us, let me know. But I think that
I'm sure there is.
We're definitely top 1%.
We're disgusting.
I mean, all animals
maybe that's
kind of disgusting.
I'm just applying our standards, cleanliness to our pets, is what you're saying.
And here's the thing. If your dog is like particularly hairy or they have particularly sticky poops, give them a wipe.
Well, and
many
like
people
to hear
give
from the people in the
my in-laws
who are wiping
they
and
wipe
not
their dog
wiping.
butts.
Yeah. You're wiping the dog butts?
My in-laws do. I have cats.
You have cats.
And occasionally there will be a dingleberry in the house.
I would leave the doors open and walk away. I'd light a small fire and I would walk away. If I found a rogue turd in the house.
Oh, that's like a once a month situation.
I would be like, I guess I don't live here anymore. I guess.
It's a cat poop. I don't even use a paper towel.
What do you use? Please don't say your mouth. Here we go.
We did it, everybody.
Why do we still have food allergies? Never mind that they appear to be getting worse. Obviously asked, as we mentioned earlier, I have a life-threatening food allergy to eggs. So I have a catastrophic anaphylaxis level allergy.
You got your bag with your EpiPen over there?
I do. I've got my bag with my EpiPen.
How many times have you been egged?
I went to the hospital 3 times last year alone.
Oh, shit.
So a lot.
So you epi and then go?
It depends. If I'm close to a hospital, I will just go. Because the epi gives them a problem to now deal with. If I can get to a hospital in what I perceive of as enough time, which I usually can, I don't need to do the EpiPen. I'll just go and let them decide what to give me. But if I'm like, ooh, nearest hospital is like 30 minutes away or something like that, I'll EpiPen just to make sure I can get there. But it's a thing. You know, it also is over the course of my life, it has changed. Like
For sure.
How it manifests has changed in ways that are now I used to have like a real early warning detector. A little scratch at the back of my throat after I'd eat one bite would tell me, ooh, I shouldn't eat any more of this. And now I'll get like many more bites in before I feel the warning.
Oh no.
And so now I've eaten more of the thing and so I have more in my system. So my reactions are worse simply because, anyway.
Dose, Yeah.
It also feels like something that shouldn't be increasing. We should be understanding it more and eradicating it.
There's 2 effects that are going on. There's like the, how do we fix the problem? Are we working on that? And then there's the, this is getting worse and why is it getting worse?
Great.
Which are separate from each other. But first of all, food allergies, very weird. Allergies, very weird. The immune system, very weird.
Okay.
What usually is the cause of an egg allergy, and this is true of several other food allergies, is that your first exposure to egg is not as food. When a baby is exposed to egg through the skin, the body identifies that as something trying to invade it. So very unusually, what will happen is before a baby has their first ever egg, they will have some abrasion on their skin, they'll have baby eczema, very common, and then mom will be cooking or dad will be having a souvlaki, I don't know, what has egg. Like, does that have eggs in it?
No, not really, but like a baklava would.
Baklava, that's the word I was looking for.
Or avgolemeno soup, which is just an egg soup.
Yeah. We'll get that on the skin, and then the body will be like,
they would give me baths in avgolemeno soup, so maybe they
give you egg bath soups.
You dip a Greek baby in egg soup. That's what you do.
Don't do that. It turns out that's bad. That's how you make them Greek.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's true. And exposure that isn't through like in utero exposure, not through like processing like your mother eating eggs, but just
And this is definitely not always the way that it happens, but it is one of the ways. Egg allergies specifically, I think, often happen this way. And what's happening is it's getting in and your body's saying like, those are foreign proteins, that's very strange. Whereas if they come in through the mouth, it'd be like, oh, that's probably food and we should mark that as food.
Interesting.
So the first way it gets flagged by the immune system, instead of being flagged as a food, it's being flagged as an invader.
Yeah.
And then that's gonna be such a tiny amount that when you get the amount that's even in like a little bit of a cookie, that's a huge, like many orders of magnitude more. And so your body is thinking, well, I'm gonna have a little reaction to this tiny amount or a little, like a medium reaction to a medium amount. But what it's getting is like a gargantuan bomb of egg, and it freaks out. Which it should not be doing. Obviously, it's not good. It maybe can. It is person dependent. So this is one of the things that they do for people who want to get better, who hopefully are trying to have their allergies better. It's called oral immunotherapy. There's also like patch-based, where they just give you a tiny amount of the allergen over time, and you literally teach your immune system to be less freaked out, as if you are like developing a resistance to iocane powder.
Okay, so it seems inconceivable.
But it works. You keep using that word. Have you ever heard about that for your allergy?
I have heard about it, but when I asked my doctor about it, he said I was too old now to start because that is a fairly recent way to try and, exactly what you're saying, acclimate, usually
just like microdosing your allergy.
Yes, exactly. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. My understanding of that is it's incredibly rigid and regimented. Like you have to, it's not at all an easy like, take this little capsule.
They're trying to make it easier.
Yeah. Why then are we having such an explosion? Like when I grew up in the 70s and 80s, I didn't know another kid who had food allergies like mine, like as severe. I knew kids who had like other kinds of like different allergies, but much lighter.
Yeah.
It's not until way later that I started knowing not just a lot of people with allergies, but a lot of my friends started having kids with severe allergies.
So we don't know.
Wow.
There are a lot of different ideas, and it probably is like several different effects.
Right.
It would be really nice if it was one thing.
Do you think it has anything to do with like exposure to pet shit in the house?
I didn't look into that.
What if all my questions were connected?
Oh, you did it. You're just playing a game with me?
Wouldn't that be great?
At the end, they're all like, there's a acrostic in there. Yeah. There might be something to just the amount of things that we are now exposed to. So there's just like way more in our world. There was also this period of time where we thought we shouldn't give kids potential allergens because if they have a reaction when they're little babies, that's going to be really dangerous. But that actually ended up increasing the number of allergies.
Oh, so in an effort to be...
They weren't being exposed to it earlier in their lives, and so they were being exposed maybe through their skin.
Okay, so that now I'm assuming has gone away, that idea.
Now they have like a schedule of when you should introduce stuff, and like eggs and peanuts are introduced way earlier than they used to be.
Interesting. Okay.
So we don't know. There's a lot of different ideas, and some of them compete with each other. The thing that I sometimes look for in these situations is like, do we disagree with what we thought like 10 years ago?
Yeah.
And we do.
Oh, we do, even just in 10 years.
And like in that kind of world where like it seems like that's still fluid, I feel very sort of uncomfortable.
Is this one
as
of
a non-expert having a strong opinion?
For sure. Is this one of those things that when we get around to meaningful gene therapy, you will be able to be like, boop, and just turn my allergy off?
Yeah, so is it run in your family, do you know?
No, it does not.
Okay, then probably not. So egg allergies are sometimes genetic, but if it's not something that you've seen, in your parents or siblings or anything.
Got it, okay. But other ones maybe.
So one thing I will say, we could probably cure your egg allergy. There is a way, which is to kill all of the white blood cells in your body.
Cool.
And then replace them with white blood cells that we have tweaked. Like, so we take white blood cells out of you, and then we tweak them to be like not allergic to eggs anymore. We kill all the white blood cells in your body and all your bone marrow, and then we put that bone marrow back in you
Okay.
And then it recolonizes your body. And then that's called a bone marrow transplant.
Great, let's do it.
It's very...
Can we do it on the show?
We're going to do it. It's going to be...
I'd love my return visit.
It's just a quick month in the hospital.
What a triumph.
And you do have
Season 3.
a fairly high chance of dying during that time.
I'm in.
Okay.
But you're telling me if I don't die, I get to have cake?
You do, yeah. Yeah, they won't.
I get to have pancakes.
They will
and
not
waffles?
do this. They will not do this, and they also don't like bring it up as like a thing that's possible. But I went through chemo, and I am now more allergic to shrimp than I was before.
Oh wow!
So the parts of my body that were more allergic to shrimp got killed more than the parts that were less allergic to shrimp, just by random chance or something like that. And now I can't have shrimp or crab or lobster anymore, which is a bummer.
That is a bummer, but interesting.
I don't have cancer, so I'd take the trade.
Yeah,
especially because you can actually get a bone marrow transplant from somebody else.
Yeah,
and then you just get their allergies.
Oh, okay.
So you don't just not have your allergies anymore.
So if I got a bone marrow transplant from somebody that had a different allergy, I could have another allergy?
You would have all of their
And if they were a serial killer, would I be driven to murder?
Yeah, well...
Would I have that appetite as well?
Really, we're not sure. If it's specifically for bone marrow, maybe.
Yeah, okay.
You're like a bone marrow-driven serial killer.
Yeah, ooh.
Then you just like the marrow.
Marrow man?
Yeah. It's apparently tasty.
Oh, it's delicious.
Oh.
As like a, you know, I don't know about human bone marrow. Let me just be on the record.
Okay. Well,
human bone marrow, I have no idea. JK, it's delicious.
So that is a way, but there are better ways that we're developing right now. So there's like a reverse vaccine kind of. Okay. So a vaccine teaches your immune system to be active and aware of potential threats and to attack those. Yeah. There's basically vaccines that are like teach your immune system to stop being aware of certain threats. Right. So those are in development. I think it's totally possible that you will die without an egg allergy.
I love this. This is kind of, I'm curious for the generations of young people that are...
And I'm almost certain that like if you were born today, that you would not have an egg allergy your whole life.
I love that.
The immune system is very complicated. There's many types of cells. There's T regulatory cells, and they regulate the immune system. Instead of killing all your bone marrow, you could take just the Tregs out, reprogram them to not freak out when they see egg, put them back in your body. And you might have to get regular infusions of that because they'd be sort of in competition with the other T cells that are still in your body. And then, but right now, there's actually a medicine that just kind of regulates the allergy response pathways that you can take that doesn't like make you not allergic to eggs anymore, but it makes it less likely that if you get egged, you die.
It would be severe.
You wouldn't die.
It would be, okay, that's great as well. Okay, so these are all very meaningful
things
moves
that we're working on.
Forward.
Yeah, and they're like various different amounts of years away. But I think in 20 years, several of those things will have.
As a kid, they tell you, as a child with food allergies, if you still have this allergy, your body changes so much that you might outgrow it during puberty or those years. But if you do not, then you will have it for the rest of your life. And that has obviously been the case. Yeah. But in my mind, I was always like, they're gonna figure this out.
I know.
They're gonna
Do you think of it as a disease?
No, not at all.
Interesting.
But that's a great question because I don't think of it as a disease, but I think of it disease-like. You know what I mean? Like I consider it with the weight of a disease, but I don't think of it as a disease. If that makes sense?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the amount that it is a structure that my life is built around is a way that someone who's living with a disease would have to build their life around something. So it is paramount in my daily life in a way that I don't even consider.
Because like, to me, it's absolutely, I mean, of course, you could imagine it the way that's most useful, but it's definitely a disease to me.
Interesting.
But like the thing is that you're like healthy all of the time until and unless this thing happens. But you're healthy all the time, but you're also always working on it.
Yes.
It's always something that you're moderating.
It is.
But I guess that's like kind of
also
true of like walking, you know?
Sure.
I don't have a disease because I get less healthy when I walk less.
Yeah. I know what you mean though. But it really is.
You should be able to eat eggs.
Yes. Yeah. Or, would I love to be able to eat just things with eggs in them. I don't even really want eggs. I just want so many of the delicious things, you know?
What do you do about that? Do you get delicious things? You figure out how to get the delicious things?
You find the things that you like, and then when you expose that thing you like, when you find that ice cream that doesn't have egg in it, and you're like, yeah, this is awesome. And then you're hanging out with someone and they try your ice cream and they're like, this is terrible.
Oh, yeah.
What you're eating isn't ice cream.
Yeah.
It's garbage.
My wife has a severe allergy to wheat, so I know all of that. She's like, these pancakes, I've never had pancakes that tasted this good. They're just like real pancakes. And I'm like, yeah, baby, they are.
Oh, I had the exact same thing with pancakes because I'd never had a pancake in my life.
Oh, yeah.
And it was one of those things that I was like, that looks great.
Yeah.
Pancakes look amazing. And then there was a restaurant.
They're not that good.
But you build it up.
Yeah.
You know, when you can't have it.
Sort of a ridiculous idea. It's like, what should we do for breakfast?
Yes.
Cake?
Cake,
but like not as good as cake. Yeah. Really simple cake that's very easy to make. Like the easiest cake you could imagine.
I went to like breakfast with someone.
Yeah.
And the place had vegan pancakes. This is years ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's probably much more prevalent now, but very rare. So I was like, I'm gonna get pancakes. This is the first time I'm eating a pancake. And the person I was with was like, oh, this is so exciting. And it was like, what a cool moment to be here for this thing. And I'm eating them. And similar to your wife, I'm like, this is incredible. This is so good. And she had a bite of the pancakes that was like, I'm so sorry, but that is not a pancake. And whatever you're enjoying is wonderful, but just know that what you're enjoying isn't a pancake.
There are times where you cannot say things.
Oh, yeah. We broke up soon after that.
Oh, really?
No. I mean, we did, but it wasn't about the pancakes.
But maybe there was something similar.
Oh, yeah,
there was
absolutely.
Like, the symptom of the same problem.
How dare you? How dare you tell me these delicious pancakes are actually cardboard in taste and flavor?
So allergies are very weird and annoying.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah, it's so bad.
And so scary. So scary, and part of the reason I ask is so scary as a kid to be in charge of your own mortality.
Yeah.
But also so scary now I'm having these conversations with my peers who are now parents of kids with egg or nut allergy, severe anaphylaxis level allergies. All of them are like, you're the only person I know who has this, the adult. What do I do? You know? And it really is like, do not scare them, you know, because in the 70s, the only way to get through it was fear. Well, I was trained by doctors and my parents.
Nobody was ready for it.
Be afraid.
Yeah.
Do not trust anybody.
Yeah.
Teachers, parents, no, truly. Do not eat anything that anyone else gives you other than me.
Yeah.
Every year, my pediatrician would tell me what I now recognize as, I'm sure, fictitious stories. Every year, he would tell me a story about another little boy that he treated who had the exact same allergy I had, and he went to a birthday party, and he wanted a piece of pizza because everybody was having the pizza, and he had the pizza, and he died. Every year, it was a different story of a different little boy who went. It was always at a birthday party. It was always one time it was pizza, one time it cake. It was always though, and that little boy died because he wasn't vigilant enough. Basically,
holy shit. You turned out great.
Did I?
Yeah. Well, look, better than I'd expect.
I'll take that. That's pretty good. Better than I expect. I'll take it all day, every day.
Holy crap, man.
Oh, here we go. What is the best Taskmaster cast and why is it season 19? Blam.
Let's talk about it.
Let's get into it.
You fucking killed it.
Thank you. Thank you.
How did you? I have so many questions.
Let's go, because I know you as...
Yeah.
I think maybe some of the first times I was exposed to you was that you were another American Taskmaster fan.
Oh, okay.
And people were like, oh, you know who's super into Taskmaster? Hank Green.
Yeah. Oh, so into it.
Yeah.
So Taskmaster is this British show where comedians are put in ridiculous situations and have to compete in tasks. Jason, were you like the first American person to do this?
I was the second American, but I was the first American who was in America at the time. Desiree Birch was on season 12?
Yeah.
12, I believe.
Yeah.
But she was lived in London.
Yeah,
was part of the British comedy scene.
Yeah.
So she was in that scene because the show really picks from, you know, that kind of that scene in London there. And so I was the first person who like asked to be on, who reached out to them to be like, hey, can I come and do the show?
Wow.
And they were like,
nice.
Yeah, okay, let's do it.
Beautiful. Well, you can't tell people that because now everybody's going to ask. Poor Alex. I have a friend who's Daddy Freyer. He was a Eurovision finalist the year of COVID.
Sure.
He was gonna win, and then COVID happened, and he didn't get to. Everybody's like pretty sure he would have won. He's Icelandic. He just like submitted a musical audition tape to Taskmaster, and I'm like, I hope that happens.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Well, they do. They make wild choices and pick great random people to populate manipulate the casts. But it's a blast. And I became so obsessed with it. And I was like, oh, in that way that you become obsessed with it. And then I was like, oh, I want to do it. I want to be inside the thing. Yeah. And I'm in the very rare position to be able to say to my manager, hey, can you reach out to them and see if if they're even interested in having an American come on? Like maybe that's not cool to them. Not cool, but maybe that's just not interesting. Yeah. And so I got on a Zoom with Alex Horn and was like, started explaining the show. Oh, he was like, okay.
Sometimes I get the impression a lot of the people on the show like never, and I'm like, this is like on its 20th season.
Yes.
You should have seen, just watch a clip.
Truly. So he starts being like, so the show is, do you know what a panel show is? Do you know? And I was like, oh, whoa, hang on, man. I'm going to stop you.
I've seen everything.
I've seen it all. I've seen every episode of all the shows. I am calling you. Yeah. I asked for this meeting because I want to do the show. And he was like, oh, okay. Well, this is a much easier conversation. He thought he was trying to talk me
like
into it.
A nice, like a big American on the show.
Yes, I think so. And I was like, buddy, not at all. I want to be in service to the show. Yeah. I want to come on.
I'll pay you $20 an episode.
I mean, I'm certain I lost money to make this show because they paid me very little. Yeah. They pay everybody very little. Yeah. And I was doing quite a bit of travel. Yeah. Yes. But worth it beyond. Like the best experience creatively. Maybe, I think we were talking about it before we started rolling, but like truly the most fun, the most satisfying, the most collaborative experience. First doing the tasks just with Alex and the team. Then the studio where you're getting to play off of all the, that's the first time I met the rest of the contestants was studio week,
Didn't you have collaborative tasks?
I had one, you're right. I had one day of tasks with Stevie. Yeah. So I had met Stevie. But beyond Stevie, I only knew who they were. I didn't know, what they had done. So that first day of studio, you really are like calibrating against, now there's 7 people on stage. None of us have been on stage together before.
We're all gotta figure out how to do this job. And you've created a whole character for yourself.
Oh, yeah. I'm just here to make mischief.
How did you, yeah. So if you haven't seen the season 19, you take on a persona which I can only describe as like Jason Mantzoukas ×2 plus obnoxious American.
Correct. Yeah. Yes. My thing, when I was talking to Alex, I was like, here's the deal. If you think this would work for you, I would like to be an American villain. Yeah. My whole thing, because
So you decided on the character.
Well, that character is kind of, I'm slipping in and out of that here.
Yeah,
when I'm in front of cameras, I am a brash, blustery blowhard in a way that I am off camera very much not. But ramping that up for Taskmaster, because the American versus British was such a fun game to play. Yeah. You know, I said to Alex, I was like, are you comfortable with me going after you as hard as I can? Yeah. Because the only way this works is if I am attacking you as much as Greg does. And then that was working out really well, but I don't meet Greg until studio. So they were like, how are you gonna handle Greg? And I was like, well, I think Greg and I are probably in alignment on a lot of stuff. We hate Alex. But then at a certain point, I need to try and wrestle control of the show away from Greg and to me, which I tried to do as often as possible.
That is excellent. Because I was like, how do you decide to, like, it feels like a creative choice in a way that a lot of people, like, I don't feel like make, you know, they just sort of like play themselves. You're playing yourself, but you've pulled on a little thing.
Yes.
I just think that you did, like, that season was very good. It was a top tier season.
It was a great season. I think it was a great season because the ensemble worked so well together.
Asking like what's your favorite cast is a little bit messy because you don't want to be like, well, I like all of these people, but like it's about the cast. It's about like the unit.
And I asked I asked the question simply so that we could talk about Taskmaster. I don't need you to say what's your favorite.
I have thoughts.
My favorite season is 7.
Okay.
And 5.
That's on my list.
7, 5, and Sam Campbell. 16.
Oh, Sam Campbell.
Sam Campbell is some kind of genius.
Yes.
Like a true once-in-a-generation talent. Somebody that from the first time I saw him, I was like, oh, what's this about? Yeah. Like when I got to the house to do my Taskmaster day, I get dressed, I maybe had done a couple of tasks or whatever, and I was geeking out and having such a fun time looking around the house, and I was talking to one of the Andys, who's the producer, and I was like, hey, you gotta tell me everything about Sam Campbell. He was like, really? I was like, I need to know everything about Sam Campbell you can tell me. I'm absolutely obsessed with him.
It's like a new kind of food.
Yeah.
It's like having Ethiopian for the first time.
Yes.
Where you're like, this is comedy.
This
but I've
spongy
never,
bread is delicious.
I've never had this kind of comedy.
Yes. Yeah, no, I agree completely.
Yeah.
Incredible. One of the things that I think is wonderful about Taskmaster, and maybe this would be different if you were UK-based or something like that, but for me, it's a discovery engine for people that I do not know.
For sure.
You know, it's comedians that a lot of them, in each cast, there's usually a legend or a much more senior person, an older person. Even those people, a lot of times, I don't know. And so it really is, then I'm just chasing down people's stand-up specials or people, you know, people's appearances, people's shows.
Watching weird YouTube videos of Sam Campbell giving PowerPoint presentations.
Which is then what I did,
Yeah.
you know, and went down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. But I will give a shout to season 14.
Yeah, great.
Dara O'Brien, Fern Brady season.
Yeah. Love Fern. Love Fern.
God.
Incredible. Wild stuff.
Yeah.
I love the players who are making bananas choices.
It doesn't.
Truly.
Please don't make sense.
Yes.
I don't,
That's all I want.
I dream of it.
Yeah. I think you'll get there.
Okay.
I think you'll get there. I believe in you.
Okay.
I think, here's what I'll say. I think you would make a fantastic contestant because I think you would be incredibly good in the tasks and bouncing off of Alex.
Yeah.
And then I
worry about the creative tasks.
Oh,
where
like
they're
the
just like
painting
they're
and
just
stuff
like
like that?
make a movie or something. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, but those are ones that I feel like you can fail in a good way.
Yeah.
Here's the thing that I felt was a decision I made that was very successful. And I made this, I think, before I did Taskmaster. I don't care about winning.
Oh, for sure.
I don't care about winning at all.
Yeah.
There's no value in winning, especially on a show that's not about winning.
The job is definitely just to make
this is a comedy
awesome,
show.
Interesting, funny things happen. Yeah.
So the idea that people get hung
sometimes
up on,
people
like,
do
I fucked that up or I messed that. I wish I had pop, is I'm always like, who cares? That was like a legendary moment.
The only good reason to do that is if it's funnier.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. And so
like was it Joe Wilkinson who threw the potato?
Yeah. Incredible. And that shorthand, you say Joe Wilkinson, I say potato. Two people who probably didn't know Joe Wilkinson's comedy before the show.
Yeah.
Have you watched this season of
8 out of 10 Cats is how I knew Joe Wilkinson.
Oh, okay. Great. Did you watch Last One Laughing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I very much enjoyed, because to me, Bob Mortimer is the all-time greatest.
Funniest person.
Maybe the high anus story.
Oh my
Speaking
God.
of anuses.
I've heard that joke several different ways, and I'm absolutely on board every time.
It is great.
I think that Bob Mortimer isn't the funniest person on Earth because I'm not sure he's a person. I think he might be from somewhere else.
Oh, I would not be surprised. If you told me that there are pictures from the 19-teens where Bob Mortimer is present and that he's some sort of immortal being, I would believe you.
Yeah.
But boy, man, that season 5, is incredible simply because of his presence.
Yes.
And as
all the rest of them suck.
Nish and Aisling, I don't care for them, even though I used them in season 19. No, they're the best. And then 7, just because Acaster, I think, is so fucking funny.
Yeah.
It's a great show. And one of my true heartbreaks.
It's free on YouTube now.
The show is incredible. And exactly to your point, all of it, every season, full seasons available on YouTube. They clip it up in satisfying ways. If you want to give yourself an introduction, if you're like, what are Hank and Jason talking about? Just watch one of the clips that's like, biggest fails.
Yeah.
Here's 15 minutes of people just eating shit.
You don't remember the first task you ever watched? Because I don't. It was take 3 yoga balls to the top of this hill.
Wait, what is that?
It was 3. It was like
what season is it? I'm trying to think of who it was.
I can't remember.
Oh, that's
right now.
funny. Yeah.
Maureen Johnson, the young adult author, told Catherine about this. Catherine was like, I watched this clip. We have to watch this show.
Oh, wow.
And the yoga ball, like it's a little windy, and so they put the yoga ball at the top of the hill.
Great.
And it just sits there for a full 15 seconds.
It is the littlest things become so satisfyingly hilarious on that show. I didn't realize until very recently that my sense of smell is weak. What have I been missing? And why is it so weak? And can I change it? Is this something I was just born with a weak sense of smell? Does something cause this? And can I train myself to smell better?
I don't know an answer to any of those questions. When did you figure out that you don't have a good sense of smell?
A while ago, just very casually, driving, someone was like, oh, there's a skunk.
Oh, yeah.
It must be a skunk. And I was like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
That was the first thing, and that's maybe 10 years ago.
Okay.
But that kind of I didn't really process that. But then, I don't know, in more recent years, there's just been a bunch of smells that I wasn't tuned into that everybody around me was. And I was like, oh no, I have a very weak sense of smell. And then found out that that is also contributing to my also having a weak sense of taste.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because I don't have, whenever people are talking about like a dish and talking about all the elements and what they're getting out of it, I'm always like, this mush? You're getting all that out of this mush?
But like if you take a stick of deodorant and put it under your nose, you smell that.
Sort of.
Oh, wow.
Sort of. Sometimes I can tell there is a smell. I just can't tell what it is.
Oh.
I can tell there's something in the air. A lot of times if something's cooking. If something's cooking, I can tell there's a smell.
Yeah.
I can't tell you what it is though. I can't dial it in and say, oh, that's garlic or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I couldn't tell you.
These are all super useful things for you to tell to the doctor when you go to see them.
Oh no, why? What do I got? No, Hank, what do I got?
You got a
Is
weird,
this a new episode of What Do I Got, Hank? Episode 1? This show just turned into episode 1 of What Do I Got, Hank?
So from my differential diagnosis here, I think you may have a severe egg allergy.
Yeah, well, that's for sure.
Okay. There's like some concerns to having a weak sense of smell. Not that there's something wrong with your body, but it's like important if you want to smell the gas leak.
Yeah,
if you want to notice that the milk is sour or that your food isn't good anymore,
Yes.
it's good to have a good sense of smell.
Oh, yeah.
And there are apparently some things that you can do. There's like a smell training thing.
Oh, cool.
That actually like reactivates some of the neurons maybe.
Great.
And that's something that an ear, nose, and throat doctor could recommend or maybe not, depending on what they think of the situation that you're in. As far as whether this is your whole life or whether this is a relatively recent phenomenon. Oh, have you?
I suspect it's my whole life.
Have you ever smoked?
No.
That's definitely a thing. People who smoke a lot. It can also be like an accumulation of various sinus infections.
Okay.
Your first one, you lose a little bit. By your 7th, you've lost a lot.
Sure.
Do you know if you have problems in that area?
Not particularly.
Just a normal sinus situation?
Yeah. Maybe, like as a kid probably, but not in adulthood really.
Yeah, it may have been that you had like a really bad one when you were a kid. And
that compromised things.
Yeah.
That'd be
that
interesting.
Can totally be a thing. Various nose infections can do it. I have a friend who has got a bad infection and her nose neurons changed and now things that smell good to us smell bad to her.
Oh, that's tough.
It's really bad. Like fried food smells rancid.
Oh, but that's good for her.
Well, it's not. Like
That's good for her health.
She has a hard time getting enough food now.
Oh, okay.
So like the only things that she likes.
Does it taste bad as well?
It tastes terrible.
Yeah, okay.
And it's not just like it's a bunch of different things.
That's
Bread smells bad to her.
Ugh.
So she can have like things that taste like cinnamon and vanilla are unaffected for her, which is wild. The nose
Those are
is
so flavorful.
nuts.
Yeah.
The fact that I can smell so many different things.
Yeah.
And they're very different from each other. The other thing, what's going on with various senses being different? So like I have like a, bitter and sour and sweet in my tongue, but they're all tastes. And then I have like cinnamon and banana and, poop, and they're all smells. What's different about those two things?
I mean, what do you mean in terms of like how you're processing
Or like red. Red also is a sensation. Well, but it's like there's red and blue and green, and those are all colors. I don't know. Maybe I'm going off board here, but I'm a little bit confused about why there's all these different senses of different colors, all these different senses of different smells, all these different senses of different taste. And they're all like of their own kind, but they're also all different from each other.
They're also, I believe, different for everyone.
They can be.
Like all of our perceptions of your red vest are probably different.
We can't know that.
Well, I don't think it's knowable.
I've never been in you, and I can't.
I mean, but let's just say, it's another spin-off show.
We're gonna go to your friend's pool, and we're gonna see what happens.
Getting in you with Hank Green. It's post. Now that I've been in you, I think I understand everything. It's an inner space. They shrink you down and set you inside the body.
This one is a lot on Patreon. It's for the people who, it's like $500 a month.
But it's surprisingly popular.
Getting in you with Hank Green.
By the way, these are all solid spin-offs.
Man, I am not lacking for ideas. That's not what's holding me back.
It's interesting because I feel like, smells and tastes, I feel like muted. Like I feel like I'm, like my experience of those things are muted.
Yeah. Here's what I think. Well, with regards to what am I missing, I think it's a little bit
the richness of life.
If you're going to be missing something,
oh yes,
this is a good one.
Hard agree.
But in addition to that, I think that you might have gone your whole life without noticing,
Correct.
and that's an interesting sort of question to ask. If you just never noticed, what would you have missed?
Yes.
And the answer to that question for you?
Not much. Probably.
I think literally nothing.
Yeah, because I can't know.
Yeah.
You know, and
because like I don't smell what a dog smells. I don't see what a
And they always tell you dogs
bird
have
sees.
so much more smell. They can
do. They
smell
have way
so much more. How come we haven't figured out how to make us smell as good as dogs? We
smell as well as dogs.
Yeah.
Smell as good as dogs means that we would smell like them.
Yes, but like good, like dogs. I want to smell good like a dog. I want to smell as good as a big wet dog. How come you can't make that happen?
I could
Hank Green makes you smell like a big wet dog. Episode 10, season 42.
That one's cheap on Patreon, actually. That one's like 50 cents a month. We pay you to watch that. This is a really weird question.
Yeah.
I think, so first of all, I think if you gave me the ability to have a dog nose now, I wouldn't know what to do with it. Like my brain would freak out. But if I had it from birth.
Of course, that would be a different scenario. But why can't you bring my sense of smell up to normal?
Yeah.
Or give you, not dog sense of smell, but give you 10% more. Why can't we get, why don't we have jetpacks? Why don't we have this? Why don't we have that? I don't care about any of that. I'm like, why haven't we had modest growth in giving us dog nose
in the
abilities?
Number of fingers.
Yes.
Just like, give me a little something.
One. Just give me one extra hanging off.
And right in the middle, right here, a butthole.
A butthole.
Yeah.
That just does pellets. You don't need to wipe it. It just prolapses, pellets, and then goes back in. That's it.
Yeah. And also, sometimes, every once in a while, a marshmallow.
I love this.
Yeah. You don't know when.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to do with you eating marshmallows.
Feels the same.
Yeah. I love this. Now I want the hand anuses to put out hot chocolate and marshmallows.
Yeah.
This is now starting to
boba pearls.
It's now starting to sound like a terrible superhero.
Like in milk for your tea and boba pearls.
And I wouldn't be able to smell if my milk was rancid.
That's
if
right.
If my hand milk
or
was
your
rancid.
boba pearls.
Or my boba pearls.
Your hand bobas.
I think there's going to be a lot of chat in the comments. Oh, I think I'm not even going to conjecture. I'm going to ask for it.
Yeah.
I would love for the people who are watching this to contribute their fan art. We've done a lot of stuff. We've established a lot of what ifs. Why not art that represents some of these human evolution hand anuses, pellet, all of it. All of these things we've talked about.
Yeah. Marble gun.
Yep.
So that thieves will slip.
I love
in the
this.
House.
I love that.
Yeah.
There's so much that we've talked about. Dog nose, you know?
Right here.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you smell that? What is that?
I don't know what my brain would do with that if it had a little nose signal coming down my arm nerves.
Is the person I am informed absolutely by the fact that I have a poor sense of smell?
I think not at all.
You don't think I grew to be this person because I wasn't distracted by smells?
I think that probably having to go to the doctor every year and be told that birthday parties will kill you may have had a bigger impact.
Yeah, probably a bigger effect. Still don't go to many birthday parties.
I wouldn't.
No, my parents won't let me.
It's in the air.
My parents still won't let me go to birthday parties or sleepovers.
Aww.
Unless I bring my own treats.
This is a good show. I'm glad we do this. We had a lot of fun. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
I think we have like 3 more. Jeez.
We can speed round.
Okay.
Some of these, let's see what we got. Ooh, this is a long one though. What great advancement is actually just around the corner? Cures, tech, where or when will we see a next great leap forward? Or is it happening all around us in ways we're not noticing because it's small incremental steps and there won't be big giant leaps forward. It will be incremental, almost unnoticeable advancement.
Your instincts are very good here.
Okay.
That when we look back, we see these things as having happened very fast.
Yeah.
Whether it's the Industrial Revolution or it's the railroads or it's the telephone or it's electricity, all that stuff took forever.
Yeah.
The example that is most salient for me is every Thanksgiving, I sit down with my in-laws and we have Thanksgiving dinner, then we talk about what we're thankful for, and my father-in-law invariably starts out that he's grateful for indoor plumbing.
Sure.
And then he tells a little story about how when he would go to his grandma's house when he was a kid, his grandma did not have a toilet.
Yeah.
Because that was what the world was like within living memory.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I mean, my dad grew up in a house in Greece that had dirt floors and no electricity. Like that feels very reachable to me. Like I remember there was some... I wish I could cite there was a podcast that was answering the question, when was the last period of like great advancement? Mm-hmm. Like the idea being it must be now because of the internet and blah, blah, blah. And people are like, no. There didn't used to be like refrigerators.
Yeah.
There didn't used to be like...
This all happened, and there's a lot of stuff that happened really fast there. You know, the nuclear age happened very fast. Air travel happened very fast from like first flight to like... you know, being able to get on a plane as a rando and go to California.
Yeah.
Like the Telegraph, I think about the Telegraph all the time. The idea, like I read an article once it was the first issue of Scientific American, which is why I read this. I read the whole first issue of Scientific American as an exercise. And they're talking about how they were running some new...
And that's the most popular episode of this show, is the one where you just read...
Actually, I did make a YouTube video about it. You can watch.
I love it. I will.
They're talking about how they're laying some new lines down. And it's mostly, they've been short lines on the East Coast to do the Telegraph. And they're saying like people in California are very excited at the prospect of being able to tell people what food to bring on the trains.
Wow.
Instead of having a person get on the train, go the whole, or a letter, go the whole way, have the order happen, and then all the food comes out, and it's 2 months before it happens.
That's huge.
And that's
just even, and
that's not
like
that
you
long
said,
ago.
Trains as well.
But
the idea that something that would take weeks and months of horse travel can now be done in such a short amount of time.
But what you miss is that like when you're in that process, it feels like it's taking a while. Even if it's only taking a decade, even if it's taking 2 decades, what you're worried about is like this person built this train and it was a bad train.
Yeah.
The new train cars, the seats aren't as nice, or they're even nicer. There was like a company that was doing this and they went bust, or this company is being really bad to its workers. And like, so you're inside of the details of it.
This company is run by a megalomaniac, crazy person who's inventing trains that make no sense and don't really work very well.
All of these guys were nuts and terrible, and we've forgotten all of them.
Thank God.
They were huge deals back then.
I look forward to a future where we've forgotten about these nightmare people.
Absolutely. The most comforting thing in the world is to go back and read all of the best-selling books from like 100 years ago. None of them. Anybody's heard of any of them. They're all gone. My brother and I had this idea to make a show where we would read the biggest book from 100 years ago every year. Yeah. Great idea. All of them are racist.
Terrible. Yeah. Oh, of course.
And I was just like, we can't the whole show is going to be about racism and people being racist all the time. That's not what we set out to do as a show. And occasionally you run across a good one that's like, it's weird
because it is always, I feel like so many of those books, it's not until years later that they are canonized and and lauded in these great ways. It's a lot of times, what are is it like Dickens is super popular, Mark Twain, the serialized writers in their era, you know?
Like, and it's very impossible to tell in the moment who Mark Twain's gonna be. Like, is Mark Twain gonna be the guy who we remember, is gonna be some other guy we've never heard of?
Yeah.
Because it could have been that other guy. And Mark Twain was like hanging out with that guy, and they were doing shows together.
Twain and McGraw? They were a comedy double bill.
Yeah. Now that guy's still alive and he does country music. I think that it is very correct that we don't feel the change when we're inside of it because we're looking at all of the details. But there are big changes happening now. And I don't know if you'll be surprised to hear what I think is the biggest change that's happening right now.
Go for it.
Which is power.
Okay.
The scale of the decreasing the costs of electric solar panels and batteries has been wild. The impact of just the price decrease that has happened so far has not in any way rolled out, especially like in the US or globally. And the prices are still going down every year.
How is that demonstrated to me in a daily way?
So it isn't yet.
It isn't
and
yet.
This might sound crazy, but I think that plus advancements in geothermal, plus potentially fusion, will mean that within the next 50 years, power will be much cheaper than it is right now.
Okay.
And that will mean lots of different things in terms of manufacturing and like how stuff gets made and how, whether this is artificial intelligence, like how can we turn electricity into ideas somehow? And so there's all of that. And then I think that the other big one that we're in the middle of that's very hard to see.
When power comes down in cost, aren't we also, AI, all this other stuff, increasing our power demands?
I think that we overestimate this is a guess, but I think that we overestimate the extent to which that will be true.
Okay.
Because I think of like hot water heaters. Like we basically have infinite hot water in our homes now, but we don't use infinite hot water in our homes. We use it for when we need hot water. So I think that like power is different because power can be used for so many things. People really think that we're going to need so much power for artificial intelligence. I think that's only true if this is going to happen in like 4 years, which is the wet dream of billionaires.
Got it. Okay.
But
it
not
won't
necessarily
be 4
a
years.
thing that's, I think is going to be a lot slower than they think it's going to be, but they'd like to convince everyone that it has to happen very fast because that's how you have the train stay on the rails. But who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe they know more than me.
I doubt it. They all appear to be morons, and you seem to be incredibly smart. So.
Well, I bet they'd charm the pants off you if they were here.
Oh, I don't think so. Okay. I don't think charm is their
I have gotten
strength.
close to charming the pants off of them, though.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Ooh,
no, you, I mean.
Oh, my pants are basically done. These are cooked.
Man, that was very charming the way you said it to me. My pants are basically done.
My pants are definitely done. I'm gonna retire these jeans after this episode.
Oh boy,
you can raise.
That's
them
a real win.
You can raise them to the rafters.
That's a win. We're gonna hang all the pants that we destroy on this show. Go on the wall, baby.
They go on the wall, and you watch like
wall of pants.
You watch them drip clean.
Mantzoukas there.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we destroyed that guy's pants. That was back in 25 when we destroyed his pants.
We blew out that entire denim seam.
Yeah. And I think another big one that we're in the middle of that's very hard to see unless you're involved in it is biology going from a sort of observational discipline to an engineering discipline where we have like ways to affect things. And that might just about—
Give me an example of what you mean.
Well, like when I was talking about like taking your T regulatory cells out of your body,
yes.
programming them to be good boys and putting them back in.
So not treating a thing, but yeah, I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, this is not a question that I put in the thing, but I would like an answer regardless.
Yeah.
How soon until it will appear barbaric, the period in which we cut people open to fix them?
I think we'll
like, when will that seem like leeches?
Yeah, that'll happen.
Gotta.
I don't know, more than 100. We'll still be cutting people open 100. I bet.
You think we'll be chopping people open? And
there will be incisions. I don't think that
I just had my spine operated on, and truly was talking to the surgeon and said, is there any way— I was in excruciating pain.
Yeah.
Like truly excruciating pain. And it's clear I need this surgery. I was like, is there any way that in the next few years, this is going to meaningfully change such that I should wait to do this surgery? Even though it will be maybe 2 years of excruciating pain, will there be a new way to do this? He was like, no.
Zero chance.
Zero chance. We're still going to be chopping people open and filling them full of hot metal.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did.
Yeah, but I could totally see that within 50 to 100 years, that could be a problem that we would solve some other way.
Okay.
But there's so many like little things that we kind of need to cut people open for. I went and when I was getting radiation therapy for my cancer, I like talked to the radiation physicist.
Just because I brought up my spine surgery, you don't need to trump me with your cancer.
Hell yeah. No, it's relevant.
Louise.
So I asked this guy, I was like, in 50 years, are you still gonna have this job where you give people radiation treatment? And he laughed.
Wow.
He was like, of course not. Yeah. And I was like, that doesn't make me feel good.
Wow.
He was like, this is
the end of
we are like, this is gonna sunset within the next 20 years.
I believe that makes sense.
Other ways of getting the radiation in or treating the cancer in less sort of brute force ways.
Yeah. It's some more subtle.
And the laugh was like very optimistic to me because it wasn't like, oh, maybe. It was like, oh, of course.
Yeah.
So interesting. I was like, I hope you're not out of the job. And he was like, I'll figure something out.
In 50 years? I hope he's retired.
He was a pretty young guy.
Yeah, no.
But that's true. But it could be 20, you know?
Yeah.
And then
By the way, I hope it's 20.
Yeah.
I hope for society's sake.
Yeah.
And everybody who's going to need those treatments that guy's out of a job in 20 years.
Absolutely.
And he's learning new skills.
He seems smart enough to get a new job.
He'll be in crypto. He'll be crypto rich in 20 years, right?
He's probably crypto rich now. He saw it coming.
Oh, man.
He was early.
All crypto questions.
He was doging day one. He had that coin.
Oh, he's got that Dogecoin.
It blew his pants right off.
Oh, boy.
His pants were done.
Cooked. A lot of these are about my own personal weaknesses. I have a very bad memory. My past is very hazy and difficult to access. Are there things I can do to open up pathways to retrieve my memories? And what I didn't write on here which is a subset of this question, only because it's related to kind of what we were just talking about, is I also somewhat believe maybe in an effort to treat Alzheimer's, dementia, all of those kind of things, we will develop something that I can take that will allow me to remember things.
Yeah. So they're going to work on Alzheimer's, and then
they're going to work on memory.
The normal people will take it, and you'll take a pill and be like, I remember
I can tell you about
weird
that
pizza
story.
I had when I was 8.
I'd love to tell you about weird pizza, except it had eggs in it, so I couldn't have it.
Well, maybe it was
I had to stay
extra
home and eat a piece of pita bread.
Oh. Was it fried, though?
No.
Oh.
Fried pita bread? No, just plain pita bread.
Oh, well.
Anyway, so it is. I find that I do not have a rich memory in the way, same as my sense of smell. Very blunt and very broad strokes.
Unlike the sense of smell, I do not think you are unusual in this.
Okay.
But I would like to ask you a question that's going to sound unrelated, which is like, what's Jason Mantzoukas' life like?
In terms of day-to-day or big picture?
Day-to-day and like week-to-week, month-to-month. In terms of like, is there routine involved?
I see what you're saying. Yes. So for sure, a lot of my life is routine. And because my life is not consistent in any routine. I'm not on a job that gives me every day I'm up at this time, every night I'm in bed. I don't have that kind of rigidity, but I put a bunch of that on top of it. So if I'm not on a job or something like that, my days are pretty much, they're similar.
But do you have a lot of like weird times that are like you're going off and you go and do Taskmaster?
I go on tour. I go to, my jobs are almost never in the city that I live in. So I've got to go to Vancouver to shoot Percy Jackson TV show.
You're always doing weird stuff.
And I'm always like inconsistently like multiple nights a week I'll have a show.
Do you feel like there's a lot of demands on your time? Do you feel like you have a lot of responsibility?
Sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different reasons why we individually would not dedicate a lot of time to thinking about our past. It sounds like you got plenty of reasons to not be thinking about your past because you're like trying to do stuff right now.
That's true. Yeah.
I think that is the biggest reason why this happens.
Interesting.
It's just like the mind isn't being used in that way.
Yeah.
And just like you also asked about, it didn't make it into the pile, but you asked about phone numbers. You're like, I can't remember phone numbers anymore. That has nothing to do with your memory. It has everything to do with how you once had trained your mind.
Exactly.
And you have lost that training because you outsourced it.
And and those are very related, actually.
Yeah.
It's not just like, I don't remember those numbers anymore. What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
It's that I'm not in the habit anymore of memorizing large data sets. Everybody's phone number, everybody's address, how to get to a place.
Yeah.
And more often than not, I don't think about it at all. I don't think it doesn't make me nervous that I don't remember phone numbers or anything like that. But when called upon to tell a story from high school or this, that, or the other, I'm always like, I don't have
any of those.
I've got some, but they're pretty broad and they're not specific the way that like some of my peers can really tell a story that's like wonderful.
So the good news is that this is absolutely something that you can probably retrieve a lot of old memories, and it really is about the time that you dedicate to it.
Okay.
And it's very clear the best ways to do this are talking to people from that time in your life.
Yeah, sure.
Looking at photos or other memorabilia from that time in your life.
Okay.
And then after that, like doing autobiographical writing. So like write about just sit down and free write.
Yep.
And it can even be like, imagine if you don't have items or people close by, it can be like, okay, what was like the walk from your bedroom to the bathroom like?
Sure, yeah.
And so just like occupy that space in your mind.
Yeah.
And then you see the hamper, and then you see the shirt that got stuck behind the hamper that you really liked. And then people were like, people liked that shirt. And so that affected the other shirts that you bought. And now you're sort of like in the moment. We're like Cecilia. She was like the girl who's into fashion. And you start to find things.
This is exactly right. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Because I feel like it is pulling a thread. It is, and yes, you will get more if you keep pulling, but I'm finding it hard to find the loose threads.
Yeah, which is why it's really good to have those conversations. Start with a place. And that, like, this is very well understood that the memory is not a thing that's just being stored there.
Yeah.
It is a collection of, it's like a story that you tell yourself.
Oh, so
if you don't tell yourself
is it a
the
use
story,
it or lose it scenario?
it's also like, if you use it, you're not even accessing really the memory. You're accessing, like you're recreating it every
sometimes
time.
my memories are actually, it's a picture that we still have of that night. Yeah. And I think I remember that Halloween, but instead all I really remember is the pictures we have of it.
Which is kind of the case with all memory.
Yeah.
So really often, like if we do studies, we like ask people where they were on September 11th. People are actually very bad. Like you'd think you'd be really good at that.
Sure.
But they're actually turned out to be quite bad at remembering where they were. They have remembered it so many times that they have created a different version of the story than actually happened.
Huh.
Yeah.
So now we live in a time when people are constantly taking pictures of their entire life.
Yeah.
They're documenting their lives so comprehensively.
Yeah.
Will they have better memories because they're documenting this stuff and are processing it, looking at it, or are they outsourcing their memories to a photo stream or a whatever? You know what I mean? Are they saying, oh, the pictures are over there? Like, because prior to smartphones, I have so few pictures of my life.
Oh my God, it's crazy.
In those years, like precious few pictures of really significant events in my life. I have almost no pictures of. And I have so many pictures of like the turkey sandwich I made last week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In a way that he's like, I have more pictures of that sandwich than I have of like all of college maybe?
Yeah.
So like, what is that discrepancy, you know?
When you can go back and look at those pictures, does that like, is there more there because you weren't outsourcing it to the pictures?
I'm not drowning in like 45.
And I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I've read headlines, you know, that people are like saying, oh, people now they are outsourcing their memories to their photos. This doesn't bother me that much.
Okay.
Well, I'm not saying that like it can bother other people, but like personally.
I only take my cues from you.
Okay, great.
If you're not bothered, I'm not bothered.
I also I weirdly don't care that much about my memories, which I feel bad about.
Ooh, now that's interesting.
Yeah. There must be something wrong with me where I'm like, I don't know, that guy's not around anymore anyway. He died long ago.
Well, there is something about it, I will say, that it's not that I don't care about it, but that I do feel as though I care more about what's ahead than behind.
Yeah.
I don't spend a lot of time dwelling on
that's
past,
exactly
which to me
why it's
seems
so
good.
hard to remember stuff.
Yeah.
Because you don't spend a lot of time thinking about it.
I guess that's maybe it. Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm not replaying it enough to like lock it in.
Like one thing I know for sure is like I used to run an event, and that when I was there was like 5 days. I would do so much and I would remember nothing because I'd have no time to like go back and think about it.
Do you keep a journal?
No, but this is the best way to.
No,
have
I
a
know
better
because you
memory.
said autobiographical writing, so I was like, oh, I'm sure that is.
It's so useful, and I like in times when I have journaled, like it's usually like stuff's bad is when I'm journaling.
Oh yeah,
and in those times it's been very helpful,
but
and
it
has resulted in because it's so time consuming.
I agree.
I could be looking at funny fish on Instagram.
I'm not doing that. Top 5 funny fish? Super quick cue. I know we still have a couple in the Pelican, but like top 5 funny fish. Mr. Limpet, gotta be one.
Oh, I mean, he was great on Seinfeld. Here's the question.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, there's 2 more, so let's try to do these fairly
We'll blaze
quick.
through them. Night owl versus morning person.
Oh yeah.
Is this conditioned behavior or are we wired differently? Can we change? Should we?
It seems like it is both, but there's definitely a wiring thing going on.
Oh yeah, okay.
And this makes perfect sense because if you're like living a small group of humans, like 50 people, you want some people going to bed early, waking up at like 4 a.m., and you want some people going to bed late, staying up until like 2, so you only have like 2 hours when everybody's asleep. Yeah. That would be the ideal situation.
Well, you're gonna get a lot done.
But now everybody has to get to work at 9.
Yeah.
And the kids all have to be at school at 8. And so everybody's got to be on the same schedule. And so now there's actually a condition called delayed sleep phase syndrome or disorder, depending on who you ask. And that's for people, that's what the like clinical term for a night owl. So a person who has a hard time falling asleep early enough that they wake up early enough to do life normal. Weirdly.
Normal. I don't love that.
Well, that's the thing.
I don't love normal.
So this, I'm going to point it out. Yeah. There isn't a similar syndrome or disorder for early birds, because going to bed at 8 o'clock, even if you are one of those people, doesn't actually raise to the height of a disorder or a syndrome because it isn't impacting your life as much as not being able to wake up before
And it's
9.
allowing you to live normal hours.
You get to live normal.
Yeah.
But night owls don't get to live normal.
No.
I know this as a night owl.
I'm also a night owl.
When my son was born, and ever since then, I have had to force myself onto a more typical sleep schedule. Yeah. And it's not great.
Yeah.
It's worse. And I feel like by the time my son graduates from high school, I will be broken permanently.
You don't think you'll be able to reset?
I think I'll be too old. I think by the time, at a certain age, you just don't sleep good anyway.
Yeah. Because I feel like for so long, I felt like being a night owl was, certainly in the beginning, it was a choice.
Yeah.
Because it was the only time everybody else was asleep. I can have my time. I can watch a movie. I can, I'm not beholden to anybody else.
Is this because there was a lot of people in the house or?
Yeah. I mean, just my family, just like my family in the house. But it just meant that okay, I can watch whatever I want to watch. It just felt like freedom.
Yeah.
In a very kind of, I'm establishing my independence way of a teenager. And then now, like I said, I'm 52 and I'm still acting like the night's for me. But I'm like, the day is for me too.
I
am in charge of
I can
all
go
of
to the
store
hours. And buy a Reese's peanut butter cup.
Anytime I want.
I'm a grown-up.
Although I'm on Reese's sticks now.
Oh, okay.
I'm off of the cups. I'm onto the sticks. Get involved.
I've not even heard of this.
This episode brought to you by Reese's.
And they don't have eggs.
They don't. Reese's stick is basically a Kit Kat, but with Reese's components. So in a way that I feel like part of being a night owl almost seems like immature or a leftover from my youth.
It is absolutely
anytime.
You can change it, should you? That is dependent on situation, but people have different natural sleep phases.
It's tough because there will be times when I'm acting on a job and I have to be up at 5 a.m. every day. And even still, I cannot put myself to sleep at 8:39 so that I can get up at 4.
Even when you've been doing it for a while.
It's almost impossible for me to alter that innate kind of go to bed at 2, get up at 10. That's what we're doing, right?
Very importantly, we are animals.
Yeah.
We are not just brains.
Gotta wipe our butts.
We gotta wipe our butts. The poop comes out where it comes out.
Yeah.
The nose does what the nose does.
Oh, always.
And the immune system also does what the immune system does. We have to live within the constraints of these bodies. They are prisons that we live inside of.
Yeah.
And I think it is so important to give them the grace.
Yeah.
And to work with them. I feel like I developed my entire life around, I had a pretty bad ulcerative colitis for 20 years. It has become much more manageable after chemo, weirdly. This is why I'm using past tense. I know. And I feel like I became a YouTuber in part because I couldn't figure out how to have a normal job.
Oh, interesting.
Because I had to be in the bathroom from 9 o'clock to noon.
Yeah.
Which was not good for an office work situation.
Sure. But work from home.
Oh, yeah. Work from home.
You can get a lap desk in there.
Yeah.
Green screen background. Nobody's going to know.
But why do it if you have a YouTuber as an option? Okay, we have one more question.
Oh my God, Hank, what?
I don't even know what it is. You can't say that you don't think we've gone on for long enough.
By the way, I could go longer. Okay. I have had the most wonderful time sitting and chatting with you. Thank you for having me. Why don't we know any more about dreams? It's one of the only parts of our lives we all experience but do not talk about or interrogate for meaning. Shouldn't we?
I don't know. Will you not do that? I had a full-on slasher nightmare last night.
See? And
there was a man with a machete
Am I the first person
kids.
you're telling?
No, I brought it up earlier.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe this is just a me. I never talk about my dreams to people.
Yeah.
Should we be?
Were we talking about other people's dreams or did I just toss it out there?
I feel like dreams might be some sort of, obviously it's our subconscious is working out this, that, or the other, but I feel like we could be a lot more tuned into it, a lot more in control of it, I don't know, something. Anybody here a lucid dreamer? What's going on?
I actually taught myself to lucid dream and I had to stop because it kept waking me up.
I tried to teach myself how to lucid dream in high school after reading an article about it.
Very similar vibes.
After reading an article about it, I was like, whoa, I can control my dreams?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. All I want to do is
fly around.
X-Men. Yeah. I want to have all the X-Men powers.
Being really good at rollerblading. I was such a good.
Were you good?
Yeah, in my dreams.
Oh, only in your dreams.
I was fine on the land.
But it sounds like you were maybe better on land because you were practicing in your dreams.
Maybe
that's it. But because wouldn't it be great to be able to, like, if you were learning guitar,
maybe we could use that time.
We cannot. These are hours that you could use.
That's not what they're for.
Yeah.
I don't think the dreams will ever be good at that because they have to be good at other things. And here's my guess.
Yeah.
And this is somewhat supported by what we understand for dreams. So we do understand like some things about dreams, but as far as the content of them, we're not good at reporting that content accurately. Our brains aren't good at actually serving up anything that's gonna be useful. I think that maybe what happens is that our brains sort of like toss out random stuff. And it might be from our day or it might be just like stuff.
Yeah.
Then there's another part of our brain that's like, let's spin a little story out of that. And that's what the dream is. And then like something else will pop up and it'll try to incorporate, like maybe it'll try to incorporate that thing in or not. But really,
yeah,
the rest portion seems very important. That it's
the body rest.
No, the brain rest.
Okay.
So like the brain is trying to figure out.
So why doesn't it just turn on? Why isn't it just
it has
darkness?
To do stuff. It's like it's actually doing some kind of like cleaning process.
Okay.
We don't understand this.
Sure.
But if you don't do it, it's very bad.
Sure, if you're sleep deprived or whatever,
you need specifically dreams. Like you can't just like you have to like do the sleep thing. And it's the dumbest thing, right? Because it's a huge amount of time during which you're vulnerable. So it must be very important. It must be a very important reason to do it. It isn't just to conserve energy or something.
So that exactly to me is in equal measure confusing why we don't understand it more. Because you're telling me it must be so important for us to stop down, make ourselves vulnerable, to do this brain clean dream thing.
Yeah.
And we still are like, it's its own thing. We're gonna research everything. We can do all of so much, we know about so many things.
Yeah.
Like the amount of, you told me that we are gonna save in power in the next few years. Why don't we know anything near that much about dreams?
Dreams are much more complicated than solar panels. Our brains are probably the most complicated thing in the universe that we know of.
Yeah. Ours, yours and mine?
Mine specifically.
Yeah. Yours big time. But just because of the cancer? I don't know. The chemo made me smarter.
Yeah. Boy, it makes you dumb when you're on it.
Really?
It's like I can't do any all of my normal word games. I was like, this isn't happening. The only thing that I could get was
Queen Bee once.
Was your comedy. That was still totally accessible.
Thank God. Thank God. It's big in chemo. Big in chemo centers. They're pumping How Did This Get Made into chemo centers all over the country.
So I don't want to say that we don't understand and we haven't been studying dreams. There's a lot that we understand about the mechanism of dreams. I don't pretend to be a person who understands it. But in terms of the content of dreams, I think right now, we just don't think there's much there, really.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's an interesting window. Have you ever had a dream that's very much like, this is about what's happening right now in my life?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was during the pandemic. During the pandemic, my dreams became not just text, no subtext.
Yeah.
Just dreams that were, I'm in prison.
Right.
Just, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm in jail, I'm in prison, I'm alone in prison. I'm alone in a room. Just not at all I wonder what that's about.
Yeah, I have
Is it because I haven't touched another human being in one full year? That could be it.
I had one of those ones where I used to run this event.
Yeah.
And right before the event, I had a dream that I was the pilot.
What was the event?
It's called VidCon. It was like an online video creator thing. And it got really big. Like at one point, the biggest year that we did, it was 60,000 people.
Huge, great.
So very scary, very all kinds of things could go wrong, security, et cetera. And I had a dream that I was the pilot of a plane. I crashed the plane. I was the only survivor.
Amazing.
And I had to go around and talk and apologize to all of the families of the people I killed. I was like, I wonder what that's about.
That's amazing.
I wonder if I'm taking on a little too much responsibility
That's
right
really
now.
wild.
What if I feel the weight more than maybe I perhaps should?
And in those instances, I really am like, oh yeah, obviously this is that. I'm trying to process this. But with those few gigantic exceptions.
Yeah. Mostly it's what the
Mostly
heck?
I'm dreaming every night.
Yeah.
Mustn't it be significant or is it truly detritus? Is it
I think that there might
is it like throwing away the trash on your computer?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think this is up to us each to determine on our own.
Yeah. It really is interesting because it's one of those things that we all spend so much time in dreams.
Yeah.
And we act during the day, although I guess you're talking about it all the time. But I don't ever talk to anybody about my dreams, nor do I ever hear about anybody else's dreams.
Well, it's not that interesting to hear.
That's what they say. But mustn't it be kind of? Mustn't there be some?
It's a very weird thing that we do. You know what I want to know? How many people tonight are going to go to bed
and dream of us?
And dream of like having weird blood hands?
Oh, for sure. Weird anuses.
There's got to be like one or two.
And if you're in the comments, let us know if you dreamt about Hank or I after watching the episode. A lot of people are watching the episode as they're going to sleep. Maybe they're listening to the episode.
Could be in there.
Our voices are in their ears.
So many of them are asleep right now.
So many of you are asleep.
Do you want to wake them up?
End the episode right there. Just end the episode so people are like, what the fuck? What was that? They don't even get to hear the rest of the show.
And then it like auto plays this like a CNN broadcast about the stock market. And they're like, why did they do that? What did I dream about?
What just happened?
And with that, what an amazing time.
That was seamless.
I love our podcast.
I love all of our podcasts.
Yeah.
We now, I believe, have 3 distinct, 2 that we co-host, and I'm just a guest on this one, obviously, unless you want to make me maybe just join you for the rest of it.
Potentially, we could have just a podcast where I give you reasons why humans have dirty butts. I probably could come up with more.
And it would probably be the biggest podcast immediately.
Yeah, it'll be a hit.
Yeah, mostly I would just love to come on every once in a while and ask you about the new ways my body is failing me, and should I be worried or not?
Well,
because
from what I can tell,
these,
having some older friends, that's mostly what they talk about.
Oh, it is. I am in active decline. I am mid-implosion.
Well, thanks for coming out anyway.
Oh, boy, I just had a great time. Thank you so much.
I'm glad is your back feeling better?
It is. Finally starting to feel better.
Great.
I am 4 months after surgery, and just the idea of sitting here, crossing my legs and not being in crazy pain is so exciting.
Hooray.
What a delight. This was a blast.
Good, thank you. And thank you, everybody, for watching. If you'd like to ask me anything, you can leave some questions in the comments. You can upvote ones that you like. I'll come by and I'll answer some of them over the next week or so. If you want more of Ask Hank Anything or more of the many other things that we make at Complexly, you can subscribe here. It's youtube.com/Complexly. That is where we are. Jason.
Hank. An absolute delight.
We're pooping back and forth into each other's hands.
Thanks for watching. You can support Complexly and get bonus videos from Ask Hank Anything and more by going to complexly.org/support. Also, if you want to see more of what we're up to, you can join the Complexly newsletter by visiting complexly.org.